This is The Wow Effect, the podcast for women entrepreneurs who are scaling big. I'm Mallory Steele, and every episode expect honest conversations, actionable insights, and stories that make you say, wow. Welcome back to the Wow Effect podcast. I'm your host, Mallory Steele, and today I'm sitting down with Dr. Elyssa Pagán of Discovery Chiropractic. Dr. Elyssa's story is one of resilience, grit, and vision. From her entrepreneurial beginnings as a teenager to opening her own practice in the middle of a global pandemic, she has faced challenges that would have made any person quit. Instead, she rebuilt, redefined her business, and found a renewed passion for patient care and the long game of entrepreneurship. In this episode, we talk about the real lessons of starting a business during uncertain times, the importance of faith and mindset, and how resilience shapes both personal and professional success. Dr. Elyssa also shares her long-term vision, including scaling her practice and creating an exit strategy that will allow her family to thrive in the future. If you're an entrepreneur who has faced setbacks, or you're simply looking for proof that with passion and persistence, you can bounce back stronger, this conversation is for you. All right, Dr. Elyssa, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, have you been on many podcasts?
I've been on a couple.
Okay.
I actually have another one coming up in 2 weeks for the Central Florida Birth Network. I'm an advisory board member, and so I'm working with a couple of the other members on the board, and they have a podcast they want me to hop on. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. You have to share that later, and we can share it with our audience too.
Sure.
So you've been in business for a couple of years now, right? Mm-hmm. How many exactly?
We just celebrated 3 years in September.
Yeah, so exciting. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if you always had that entrepreneurial spirit, or what kind of triggered you to go down this pathway?
I've always been a very independent person. It's not that I don't like being told what to do, but I like being in control. If I'm making money, I like to be in control of how it's being made. So even from when I was very young, I negotiated my way through my dance studio. Our director had to take maternity leave, and she was on bed rest. And so I started taking over not only the classes that I was already teaching, but then my own classes that I was in. So I started teaching those too. And so we negotiated costumes and tuition and all that stuff. And I was 13 at the time, 13 or 14. And I always had this kind of drive and very I was very persuasive, but I had also known her since I was 3 years old. So she trusted me with that. And then when I was in high school, I finished high school early. By my junior year, I was already done with all my credits. But in New York State, you have to take gym class, and you need to have 4 credits for that. And so they were no, you still need to take 3 semesters of gym. So you have to do something. And I was too young to actually work. So they had a program with an adjunct school. It was a technological school where you could do cosmetology, aesthetics, teaching, nursing, hospitality management, criminal justice, law enforcement, and culinary. And so I, at the time, knew I wanted to be a doctor. So I thought, I don't really want to go into the nursing part of things, but I loved beauty. So I just wanted to do something that was fun. So I became an esthetician when I was in high school. And I was 17. The minimum age to work as an esthetician is 18, even though I was licensed. So when I turned 18, I finally applied for a job. And the job that I got was with a major company that it was franchised, but the franchise owner let us all kind of work as if we were independent contractors. So she was basically I'm going to pay you guys all a salary. You're going to get commission, but you need to bring your own people in. So at 18 years old, I was the youngest person in this company. And now I'm I have to run my own business, because if I want to make more money, I have to see more people, because if I don't have people, they're not going to give me hours. So it was kind of that entrepreneurial spirit at that point. I had some retail jobs before at some luxury brands, but even with that, it was they never really gave me hours because I was like 17, 18. So this was like my first real, like, I need to make money. And I loved it. I loved being able to control my schedule. I loved being able to, you know, meet new people, network. I had my own like business cards. And from that, like the people that I got as clients ended up helping me like on the side when I was doing makeup or other aesthetic things that didn't conflict with the company I was working for. And so that since I was like 18, I've always had that kind of like drive to work on my own rules and feel happy and not burnt out. So when I was in chiropractic school, I was like, I'm opening up right away. I don't care how it looks, but I'm not working for anybody else because I've never been told what to do and I don't know how I would react being told what to do.
Yeah. It's funny that drive is the word that's been in the back of my mind this entire time that you've been sharing. I'm curious, where did you get this drive from? Is there someone in your life that kind of led it by example or not by example?
My mom and my dad, like my parents for sure. Now, like my dad is an entrepreneur now, but when I was growing up, he worked for different companies in IT in downtown Manhattan. And just seeing like he worked sometimes like 7 days a week at one point. Like he and my mom was able to stay home to raise me and my brother. So I just saw his like commitment to work and his commitment to, you know, provide for his family. And, you know, my mom raised us, but I always saw her drive as well at home with maintaining a beautiful, clean home, maintaining like, you know, a happy, well-fed family, and just seeing her excel in all the things that she was doing. Because when she was pregnant with my brother, she was getting her master's degree. And so like I used to go to school with her and got to see like the things that she was doing. And even when she had gone back to work, just her drive and her like tenacity and desire to want more, even though she was working for someone else, she still didn't let that stop her from pursuing the goals that she had in her profession. And even now, she completely abandoned her profession to become a flight attendant, and seeing her live out her dreams like has been just an inspiration, because she went from 20 years in the school system working as a school counselor and mental health therapist to now like she's a flight attendant, completely different things, but just seeing her never stop what she does, you know, what she loves to do, and that, you know, that drive. And the same thing with my dad. Like he got out of the IT world a long time ago. He started his company in 2007. And now he started a different company last year or the year before, in transportation. So seeing him kind of like bounce ideas, and anytime he has an idea, he just kind of goes for it. And that has always been something that motivates me and inspires me, because I like to see that freedom. We were able to go on so many vacations because my parents worked so hard to make sure that they could provide for themselves and for me and my brother.
That's incredible. And, you know, we have so many women in our membership alone who are currently in corporate, doing the grind, burning out, building their business on the side, getting ready to take that exit. And it can be pretty scary, but it sounds like they just went for it.
Yeah, I mean, it took my dad, well, when he built up his first company, he was still working full time for a different, he was working for like Swiss banks and doing IT on Wall Street and for like the brokers and stuff down there. So he still had that, but he created a business where he could still kind of intertwine those clients. And so before he opened up this transportation company now, back then he was moving servers from building to building along Wall Street. And so that's how he maintained all his contacts. And so just seeing like his ability to network and his ability to get those people on his side essentially has really helped him. All those connections he's made, you know, 30 years later, he still has those people in his corner. And so it's cool.
Not to go cheesy on you, but that was a good play on words. And knowing how to network within the IT. So you've had your current business for 3 years. You just celebrated that. You have, even though it's young-ish, 3 years is a good amount of time, but you also ran in those 3 years. Like you've experienced quite a bit of growth. Mm-hmm. Do you mind sharing a little bit of the growing pains that you went through?
Oh, we're still going through them. But yeah, at the very beginning, you know the saying, you don't know what you don't know. And you can make,
thank God.
Yeah, sometimes thank God. You can make like a workbook that lays out every single thing perfectly, and you're still going to come across something that's not in that book. And I tell you, like, I had so many mentors in my profession that were telling me, okay, do this, this, and this. These are the people that I know and I trust. These are the people who helped me build up my office. Use them. They're not going to like steer you wrong. And unfortunately, we learned the hard way with some of these things, you know, that people are nice to the people they know. They're not always nice to the people they don't know. And so these connections seemed really amazing at the beginning, and we didn't know any better. We didn't know who to truly go to for architectural plans or builders or this or that. So the one person that we met introduced us to all these other people that ended up, honestly, like we spent more money than we should have. And, that is something that I always kind of kick myself for. I mean, the damage is done and, things have already been paid for and whatever. But like looking back, I'm like, had I known that back then, I would have definitely kept shopping around. And that was just for like the build out of our space. Now, when it came to the actual space, that was a whole other challenge because we opened up like still during COVID. It wasn't the rebound yet. So there weren't many spaces available in the city that we wanted to open. And so the one space that we found, we're like, okay, it sounds good. Like it's owned by an international company. Like we know that they're going to maintain the property. It got good foot traffic. Everything looked on paper amazing. And then 2.5 years there, and it was like awful. And so it was like those growing pains of, not being able to communicate, with a property manager, not being able to communicate with a landlord, little things here and there that happened within our space that we weren't expecting, like our plumbing not working the week of our grand opening and not knowing that they messed up the plumbing in the previous tenants. And we didn't know that because there was nowhere to find that out until we started using the bathrooms there. And so it was just kind of like one thing after another. And we had just started, so we didn't really have the revenue to pick up from the repairs that all of this was going to take. And so if I were to go back, I would definitely, not even look at that location, but I would definitely try to start off as small as I can or as I could, and then build myself back up, because we're listening to all the wrong people who were like, no, you need a space, like you need a big space so that way you can get big people, because your numbers are going to like blow out of the water your first month. And so we were just listening to all of these empty promises. We did all of the work that we were told to do. We made all of those connections, but then the first 3 months open, we were like, where's everybody? Like we have 5 people on our schedule a week and we're open 5 days a week. Like, where is everybody? And so that was a big lesson for us, in learning, like, you can't always just trust people at face value. People that are making all this money is because they have multiple streams of income. And that's the secret that nobody was saying. And now I get it.
Those stories break my heart. Like, unfortunately, you're not the only one, especially when people are new in business and they're excited, right? They want to focus on the excitement. Don't bring me down and tell me about all the risks that could happen. And I'm not saying that you said that, but I've heard that quite a bit, right? It's exciting. We're going to get a big space. Everyone's telling us it's going to fill up. But the other thing, some of these people who give some guidance, they may have good intentions, and it may have worked wherever they opened their big space 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but there's so many other factors and variables to look at every time you go new, right?
And when I spoke to some of my mentors, I said, you guys are giving us all this advice in a pre-COVID world. Now we're dealing with a pandemic. And so what is that rebound going to look like for us? Because healthcare suffered during COVID, private clinics and hospitals, as we know. And so nobody could give us like updated statistics or updated things, because everything was in such limbo that they were just feeding us like it was toxic positivity. And we needed like realism that we just were not receiving. There were red flags that we just ignored because we said, you know what, if it's God's will, it's God's way. Like if we're not meant to do this, then this is going to fall through. And like nothing was falling through. So we're like, okay, like we're meant to do this. And at the end of the day, I still believe that we were meant to do that, because we learned so much from that experience, that when we had to basically like rebuild because we moved almost 6 months ago, it was like, okay, breath of fresh air. We know exactly what we need to do. We know how we're going to not spend so much money marketing. We know what we're going to like, who we need to market to. Now we can focus on who we want to see. And this is how we're going to do it. And it was basically a jumpstart. We're basically restarted 5 months ago. So even though we've been open 3 years, it's like we've only really been open 5 months.
And yet I think you're going to go further faster.
Today's October 1st and it's already like blown out this entire last quarter. So we're very happy. We feel very blessed about it. And I'm just glad that we've continued to put trust in God and put trust into ourselves and say, like, we can do this. We just got to take a step back and remember, like, these are the pains that we went through. And in business, it's like this. It's never just a straight shot up. You're going to have your peaks and valleys. And Sometimes you're in a valley, but you climb your way back up. And once you're at the peak, it's good, and stay there for as long as you can.
Were there any tools or strategies, whether it was like mentally or mindset or emotionally or physically, that you implemented to keep yourself moving forward and progressing during that time period?
Yes, leaning on our family for, emotional support was our biggest thing, but then leaning on God for everything else was literally the reason why we're here now. When we opened up our first space, when the steel framing went up, we wrote scripture on all of the frames, and we had blessings put into our practice that no matter where we were, it didn't matter if that was the vessel, it's us, right? We're going to carry that no matter where we go. And that still holds true to this day. Like, we put all of our faith, we put everything to ground us back into the word of God, and going to church, reading our Bible, studying together every night. That really just helps to ground us. And then the other thing is exercise. So we try to exercise. I think we only get like 2 or 3 rest days a week. Like, we try to exercise a lot, because that really helps release endorphins. We got to practice what we preach to our patients, so we're always constantly moving as well. But that's the other thing, and eating right. So making sure that we're fueling not just our mind, our body, and our spirit, but just us in general as a whole.
You're always so genuine in sharing about your clients too. Like, you're very passionate about them. Do you mind sharing why?
I see myself in a lot of my patients. After like doing the boot camp with you, it really helped me kind of get back to basics and say, like, okay, who is my ideal client and why do I want them to be my ideal client? And then I just kept thinking about myself and all of the things that I went through with my own healthcare journey. And so I see a lot of myself in a lot of the patients that walk through our door, like the hopelessness of like not getting answers, going to the doctor, and just having someone to listen to you. Because when I was dealing with what I was dealing with, 11, 12 years ago, no doctor was actually listening to what I was saying. And it just it left me feeling like very confused and just very discouraged. And so I don't want to have my patients feel that way. So I always treat every single person as they have a sign around them that says, make me feel important. It was something that I learned many years ago, and I still hold true to this day, because you never know somebody's story. They could be like the most grouchy person on earth, but you don't know if maybe they're just dealing with a loss. You don't know if they just got the worst news, right before they saw you. So I always feed off of everyone's energy, but I don't give that same energy back, because you never know what someone is going through. And that's why I feel so passionate about helping my patients, because if I could just make their day 1% better, I know that I've done my job, and I know that they're going to leave feeling just 1% better.
Love it. I'm thinking about you work with, or not necessarily work with your husband, but you both are in chiropractic. You're both entrepreneurs. What's it like having 2 of you under the same roof?
It's amazing. So most people, I don't think most husband and wife teams that work together can say that, because we are together all the time. Now that we're in our new space, we're kind of separated a little bit, but it has been quite amazing, because we get to feed ideas off of each other. My husband is very analytical, whereas I'm very creative. And so whether it's something to do with business or something to do with like a patient case, if I'm really stuck on something and I say, I just need a second pair of eyes, he comes at it from a very different point of view than I do. And so then we can sit down together and we say, okay, this is what we think is going to be best for the patient. And so we're always working as a collaborative team. And even our new patients that come in, we tell them from the very beginning, like, my husband is going to look over your stuff. My wife is going to look over your stuff. So they know that they have 2 sets of eyes on their case at all times. And that even if they're only seeing me, they know that he has seen their case as well. So if I need help and I need to consult with him, I can do that. And they know that they're going to get the best care possible from both of us.
Amazing. What would you say has been like a wow moment in your entrepreneurial journey so far?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think for me, a wow moment is every single time, or any time I should say, that I feel like I'm in a valley and I can't get out of it. Something happens where I'm like, wow, okay, I need to get out of my own head. And that can be backdated checks that we'd received from insurance companies from June that they're finally paying us now. Or that could be an opportunity that, presents itself to us that we end up getting patients out of that we didn't ever think that we would. Just like little things here and there that kind of like add up. those all let me know that I'm still doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and not to be so like discouraged when I get into those valleys and those moments of like utter despair. And I'm like, I don't know what to do next. I'll get an email and it says, hey, you help so-and-so. I have 3 new patients for you. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, this is good. So I say those little surprises are kind of just a conglomeration of wow factors that come in my personal journey.
Yeah, it's almost like reaffirmations over and over again that you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I tap into your transition that you're working towards?
Yeah, you can. I mean, I don't care about it being a secret anymore.
Okay. Tell us about your secret that's no longer a secret.
So we are working now on our exit strategy. We never thought that it would be this soon, but it is coming up sooner rather than later. And so we have met with a few different investors that are interested in purchasing either part of the company or purchasing just our books and having us kind of be executive directors, which is going to be a cool role because we want to move to Canada, but I don't want to quite leave this dream that we started building up. It's still a baby and I still want to nurture it as much as I can. So that's kind of what we're working towards now. We have a couple of meetings lined up in the next couple of weeks to see who's going to be the right fit for us and get that, transition kind of going.
A lot of entrepreneurs have a hard time thinking about the end in mind when they're starting. But you've done that. What did anything change in your mind?
So I will say
for an exit strategy.
Yeah. So I would say from day one, like my husband and I, when we started our practice, we were not even dating. We were just strictly like friends, business partners, with no intention at that time to even like get together and get like married at this point or start a family or anything like that. Because we started our company in 2021, but then we didn't open till the year after. So then we started dating throughout that process. And then we got engaged right before we opened our doors. And from the moment we got engaged, I was like, okay, I'm moving to Canada. So like, from that very moment in my mind, I already knew that I needed to work on an exit strategy. And I said, if I'm not going to be in Florida for 5 years, how am I going to be able to scale enough? Or how are we going to be able to scale enough so that way we can look attractive to an investor or even a new grad so we can leave in the next 5 years? And so I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs ever think about closing their doors because this is, their baby, right? And they want to pour everything into it. But our why was always for our family, for our future family. So how are we going to make as much money as possible? How are we going to help as many people as we can within the next 3 to 5 years so that way we can lovingly say bye to everyone and, start our lives while we're still young and continue what our other goals are and, complete those too.
It's incredible. Are there any beliefs or friendships, maybe relationships that you've outgrown in the journey of entrepreneurship?
That I've outgrown?
Yeah.
I guess one of the beliefs is that limiting belief of like, you can't do it because you're young. Every circle that my husband and I are in, we're the youngest people. I'm not even 30 yet. And so when we first started networking, he wasn't 30 yet either. When we first started networking, it was always, oh my God, you're so young. Do you guys know what you're doing? Are you sure you want to do this? And we were like, yeah, like you're here too. I'm like, but I'm not telling you that you're so old and you're still doing this.
Yeah.
So I've gotten out of that belief that just because I'm young doesn't mean that I'm uneducated or naive. Like I still achieved my doctorate at the end of the day and I'm still helping people. So that's a belief that I've kind of let go because age doesn't mean anything. When you're good at what you do, you can be 85 or you can be 25 or 15 or 5 or whatever. If you have a good idea and you know how to implement your idea and help others with that, doesn't matter how old you are, you can do it. So I've really let that go for sure. And imposter syndrome.
You set a really good example for other young entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I've had people like come up to me and they're like, oh, but I'm only like 18. I'm like, so? I'm like, you're old enough to vote. What the, like you can open up a business, like do it. I'm like, who cares?
And sorry, because I cut you off. And imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah, imposter syndrome is another thing that I've let go. But that was more of my clinical practice, not so much as a business owner. And that was something that one of my mentors like sat down with me and she's like, basically metaphorically slapped it out of me and was like, no, stop. You have the knowledge, you have the capability, you are going to do this. And that was more towards like helping my pregnant moms and my babies. And that was because I was sitting with her one day and I was like, I'm not a mom. Like, how are moms going to take my advice on how to do XYZ with their babies if I've never experienced that? And she was like, you're going to rewrite that entire statement about yourself. Why do you feel that way about yourself? And get rid of it. And I was like, okay. And so from that point on, I've just stopped because I've done all of my research. I've seen at this point over 100 babies in my practice. So like, I know what works, I know what doesn't work, and I'm very confident now. If you would have asked me this like, 3 or 4 years ago, I'd be like so meek, but my confidence has definitely grown the more my business has grown.
I think obviously it's greater to have confidence, but then it doesn't scare me when somebody has imposter syndrome because it means they're willing to learn.
Oh yeah, no, I still have it, especially when it comes to like business. I didn't quite always let that go because I'm like, how can I do this? Now, especially when it comes to like wanting to move, and I told my husband, I was like, I'm not cut out to open a practice right away in Canada. Like, I need to learn Canadian health before I can say like, let's open up our own practice, because I know nothing. And so I'm always like willing to learn. I'm always willing to accept new information and even change my own narrative of what I think it has to be one way. Like, I am flexible with my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So I have flashbacks of a meeting we had recently where a couple of us were talking about us falling and breaking our tailbone or our butts or whatever, just joking around about it. But you shared a little bit in that meeting, but is there anything else around chiropractor in general that most people don't even think to go to a chiropractor for? Because in that meeting, we're all like, we can come to you for our butts. Like,
Yeah. I actually had a conversation with a patient today. She's a twin, and her twin, I think she's an opera singer. She's either an opera singer, she's a singer, but I'm pretty sure she does classical opera. And she had come to me a few months ago because she was dealing with like throat pain, almost like laryngitis in a way. And she's like, I need to sing. Like, I don't know what's going on. My neck's hurting. And so we saw images and stuff, and she had just very slight misalignments and postural deficits. So I worked with her on her posture. I worked with her by adjusting her. I adjusted the parts of her neck and her like upper back that those nerves go to the larynx and to the throat to help create more blood flow and more nerve communication to those areas. And she was able to get back to singing, and she hasn't had any issues, since she started working with me. And her sister was like, I didn't even know you could do that. And I'm like, well, I'm not improving her singing, but I'm just improving the way that her mind and her body are communicating through gentle chiropractic techniques. And so that's been really cool to see that, because most people think scoliosis, low back pain, neck pain, headaches. Nobody ever thinks about those types of things. And so it was really cool to have that conversation literally with her today. And then now you ask me that question where I'm like, yeah, we can help with a lot of things that you're dealing with that you don't even realize are affected by your nervous system.
Yeah, that's amazing. So at what point when you're feeling pain or you're starting to feel something, at what point do you come into the journey? Like, at what point should someone be seeking out a chiropractor?
So ideally before the pain even starts, because pain is the last thing to show up when there's a problem, and it's the first thing to go away once you seek treatment for it, no matter what kind of treatment it is. And so I always say, like, the minute you feel that something is off is the minute that you should seek some sort of treatment for it, whether it's coming to me, whether it's going to a physical therapist or an acupuncturist. Prevention is always going to be key. And if you're already going through a flare up, you can still see me as well. So like, if you wake up one morning, you have a crick in your neck and you're like, okay, no stretching is helping this, I need to go, come into the chiropractor. We use very gentle techniques. We do muscle work. We can even do acupuncture in our office to help kind of relax everything and get you back to, the life that you're supposed to be living, a pain-free, functional life.
Amazing. If you were to go back to your younger self, and I know you shared about a couple of lessons learned along the way, but if you were to go back to your younger self, is there anything else that stands out as guidance that you would give to your younger entrepreneur?
Yeah, don't be fooled and stop stressing out, because you're going to come up across so many other things that are going to stress you out more than this little signature that you just see. That's probably the biggest thing, is just to not be so naive and trusting people, because we got burned pretty badly at the beginning. And so, taking a step back and trying to look at it from a bird's eye view or like a third party lens. Like, what would your parents tell you? And take that kind of advice. Because, you know, we had the doubts of like, oh, you guys sure you want to open up a business? Like, it's so hard. But these were coming from concerns from, you know, family members, but they never opened their own businesses. They were never entrepreneurs. So it was hard for us to like take anything that they were saying. We took it all with a grain of salt because it's like, you guys have never been there. You've worked for somebody else your entire, you know, working career. Like, I'm not going to listen to you. And it's come with its own challenges. And so when we like complain about certain things here or there, I'm like, all right, let's just be grateful that we're still open and we're still seeing people. And telling my younger self, I would just tell her like, stop stressing out about, you know, colors of paint for a wall, because that's nothing compared to the things that you're going to have to deal with when, you know, the doors finally open.
It's so good. So good. Reminds me of the comparison of like the logo. Like everyone gets stuck on the logo in the beginning. They're so afraid to launch without this perfect logo.
Oh yeah, I created, so everything that I've done for our practice, which is probably why it's a little hard for me to not like, it's hard for me to like let it go, because I've poured myself into so many of the little things. Like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna just get a business card real quick.
Yeah.
So like even down to our business cards, I created the logo. Yeah. I created like the design, and on the opposite side, it has all of our information. And so like something as simple as this that I know I poured like my heart into, I'm like, I don't want to let that go. Like, I want to take that with me. And my husband's always like, let it go. He's like, you're so creative. You can make a million logos for a million different ideas that you have. He's like, that's such the littlest like part of this whole thing.
I was going to say, how many times have you woken up in the middle of the night with your next biggest idea?
Oh my God. Last night I had a dream, and I had a great idea in my dream, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. So you're constantly coming up with the next best idea. So yeah, I'm with your husband on that one. Yeah.
And I'm like working on letting that go.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's a control thing. I'm like, yeah, it probably is.
As a wrap-up question, tell me, what are you excited about next? What are your next goals? How do you want to wrap up 2025? What are you looking forward to?
So I'm looking forward to continuing to scale. Our goal for the end of the year is to try to make as much as we did last year, because we had to move, so we lost, you know, revenue in that process. So if we can still make as much as we did last year or even close to it, I'll be very, very happy. And then like scale enough that way we continue to see new clients and stuff, because with sales, it's all very like convoluted and intricate. There's a lot of intricacies with that. So just to keep us open until, you know, our lease ends here in May. Our goals right now are to continue to see at least 10 to 15 new patients a month, get people in the door right before the holidays start, because even though we're in Florida, people are still hanging Christmas lights, people are still falling off ladders, God forbid, and so they still need help. And so just being able to stay healthy, and, you know, stay mentally sharp for, you know, the new patients that we're going to get, because I have a feeling that Q4 is going to be a big one for us.
Exciting. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me. I had so much fun. I love talking to you, so I love this.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to follow the show so you don't miss an episode. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you're going to love what we have coming up. If you found value in what you heard, share it with a friend who might need it too. Until next time, keep building your dream life and your dream business.